And that revolution is in the proud tradition of our party. It is in the tradition of Franklin Roosevelt, who knew that America had nothing to fear but fear itself. And it is in the tradition of that one and only Harry Truman, who let him have it and told it like it was.
Because people think I'm a moderate. Well, I am a moderate. That's where this came from. It wasn't me paraphrasing her. It is what she said. And all that I said is nothing wrong with being a moderate. But you can't be a moderate. You can't be a progressive. In terms of President Obama, I think if we remember where this country was 7 years ago, 800,000 jobs being lost every month.
Initially wanted to talk about impeachment, but people keep saying, but Pence, but Pence. Now, I think that this is important because how do you topple a tyrant? Now, we're going to wait till, 2020 for the Democrats to pick ourselves our savior? Right? They do such a good job. You had Walter Mondale. You had Michael Dukakis. You had Hubert Humphrey. Okay, so the possibilities of the Democrats not picking a radical progressive in order to compete against this, president shithole is very likely. It is very likely that the Democrats will fuck this shit up again because they've been fucking this shit up for decades. Nixon was the last liberal president we had. So if you don't understand the lessons of 2016, Hillary was not a progressive. She was a shitty candidate who only cared about the rich and maybe the upper middle.
Well, thank you very much. It's nice to know.
Wait a second. You all went ahead and picked another conservative to be the Democratic candidate? What are y'all going to do? You're going to go ahead and vote for the Green Party candidate? You're going to vote for the very intelligent and very qualified and very serious and progressive Green Party candidate? You're going to vote for the candidate that can save us all? That's what you're going to do? Oh, my God. Right? They're going to pull that type of shit. They're going to pull that type of shit till the day we die because they're not for democracy. Just like Nick Gardisar. Nick Gardisar doesn't give a shit if the military veterans will get a chance to vote because he wants to do this runoff voting. He doesn't give a shit about the law. He's been circumventing the law the entire time. They don't want competition. They don't want independence. They don't want anybody else in the race but them. They don't believe in the democratic process. They don't believe in the talking about the different ideas and then going with the, talking about the platforms and then going with the best ideas. They don't believe in that shit. It's all about, partisan
agreement. But, yes, I think he has done an excellent job.
Well, Chuck, if I could, in the very first debate, I was asked, am I a moderate or a progressive? And I said, I'm a progressive who likes to get things done. And cherry picking a quote here or there doesn't change my record of having fought for racial justice, having fought for kids' rights, having fought against the kind of inequities that fueled my interest in service in the first place, going back to my days in the Children's Defense Fund. It certainly didn't stop me from taking on the drug companies and the insurance companies before it was called Hillary Care. It was called, before it was called Obamacare, it was called Hillary Care because we took them on.
To run down the gauntlet of all the anti-progressive ideas that she was for. She loved TPP, the gold standard of all the trade deals, right? Free trade, let's get some money. The 1%, she loved the Goldman Sachs, Michael Corbat, CEO of Citibank, the Lloyd, whoever, CEO of Goldman Sachs, they both loved Hillary. Which agenda of the 1% do you want? Hillary was just Donald Trump with a vagina. Donald Trump is Hillary Clinton with, flaccid little tiny. Anyways, which agenda of the 1% do you want? Do you want, these rich people to run you, or do you want these people, rich people, to run you? When it came to the border wall, Hillary Clinton would have already built the border wall. She wanted to throw Edward Snowden in jail. Why? Well, she voted for the Patriot Act, and he is basically flaunting it, saying, you know what, the American people have a right to privacy. Unless they don't stand up for any of this shit, then I guess.
I'm sure you know that I have already called Mr. Nixon, expressed to him our congratulations. And I've sent the following telegram just a few moments ago to Mr. Nixon. It reads as follows. According to unofficial returns, you are the winner in this election. My congratulations. Please know that you will have my...
Wanted a border wall. She wanted to throw Edward Snowden in jail. She thought TPP was the gold standard of trade deals. She voted yes on the Patriot Act. She voted yes for the Iraq War. 1 million dead in Iraq. She don't give a shit. Libya. Overthrew Libya. Now there's slave trade is happening in Libya. She escalated the Afghanistan war. She overthrew Honduras' government in 2009. Shock doctrined the fuck out of that nation. It's the murder capital of the world. And then when the refugees were running out of Honduras, guess what she did? Pushed him back into the shithole that she had just now created. On Syria, she was for a no-fly zone, which would have been pushing up against Russia, which makes her to the right. She was bigger, more of a warmonger than Donald. She was pushing for that nuclear war. Even Ronald, tear down this wall, Reagan understood the two superpowers working together could achieve a lasting world peace around the world, and he thought Russia was the evil empire. But he still worked with that evil empire. Any issues? She's supposed to be known as, this great fighter for black folks. She was a Goldwater girl. Barry Goldwater was opposed to the civil rights of 1964. Barry Goldwater said, wait a second, black kids want to go to school with my kids? Fuck that. He was against integration. And guess who stood up for it? Hillary fracking Clinton. Who is in favor of fracking? Talk about climate change. She opposed the carbon tax, and she loves fracking. Hillary fracking Clinton. On marijuana, she said that the research is still out. The Goldwater girl says it's still out, right? Oh, my God. We're still doing this reefer madness. 2018. It's not out. The research isn't still out. It's not heroin. It's not fucking heroin. The baby boomer generation have been lying to the millennials for fucking decades. Yeah, marijuana is like heroin. Get the fuck out of here. These are the people from the 60s. Y'all brought LSD and Quaaludes, and y'all the ones smoking all the...
And there still is a few things to do out at our place. As a matter of fact, I feel a great sense of both release and relief, and I hope and pray that all of you will feel the same way. I want you to be of good cheer. I'd like to have you feel a little happy. It's not easy, but quite frankly, this was an uphill fight all the way.
The Barry Goldwater girl, she wasn't even for single-payer health care. She couldn't even say that. Right, no, we got Obamacare. It covers 90%. Good enough. What about the 10% that aren't covered? Fuck them. Fuck them, right? Not even for single-payer health care. She was Miss Single-Payer Health Care, but then she got bought out in the 90s. What happened to the 1990s single-payer health care Hillary? Yeah, she turned into Shitlery, and that's why her voice is shrill. She used to try to sound, somewhat likable. But then what about her position on gay marriage, right? She probably would have banned the transgender too. She hated gay people. How many times did she say marriage is between man and a woman? No, fuck you gay people. Marriage is between a man and a woman. Not even the liberal, left-wing Hillary Clinton thought that gay people deserved any rights. Until when? Just a year before she ran, so 2015? She's been around since the 90s. For 25 years, she's been a 25 years she's been a homophobic bigot. On Iraq, she didn't have the moral compass that we needed. She didn't have the moral compass with Libya, Honduras. So many times she dropped the ball. Why? Because she didn't choose the progressive option. She kept running to the right. She couldn't even talk about UBI, which I'm going to mention here in the end, because that would have actually cured poverty. But she said that was one of her ideas she was thinking about. Oh, yeah, I'm sure. So she wants to throw Edward Snowden in jail. Why? Because it's okay to have warrantless wiretaps. It's okay to throw the Fourth Amendment away. We have no Fourth Amendment. Right now, all of our emails and all of our phones are being tapped. The NSA is bulk collection, saving all that shit. Fuck you, Americans. You think you got the Fourth Amendment? You think you got a Bill of Rights? No, you don't, because Hillary Clinton passed the Patriot Act. Edward Snowden left an NSA job, $200,000 per year job. That's how much the establishment gets paid to spy on us.
Campaigns. But at the same time, let's not be, in I think, an unfair way, making an accusation or making an attack about where I stand and where I've always stood. And it is fair to say, Senator, that in your definition, as you being the self-proclaimed gatekeeper for progressivism, I don't know anyone else who fits that definition.
Amazing. Edward Snowden believed in the American people. Edward Snowden has morality. He's got principles, and he's standing up for his principles. He believes in the right to privacy, and he believes in the veracity of the American people. Surely the American people will stand up. Surely they'll stand up. Now, Hillary said, fuck Edward Snowden, right? Fuck him. She says, hell yeah for the Patriot Act. Hell yeah for this, warrantless wiretapping on all of our emails and phone calls. So, on every issue, on so many issues, she loves fracking, Hillary fracking Clinton. She loved the Iraq War. She loved war in general. She loves the war on drugs. She's not going to stop marijuana. The research is out. The research is out on marijuana. Actually, Hubert Humphrey said something very similar. Yeah, the research is out. Fuck you. This is one of the biggest issues, I think, because it separates the baby boomers from the millennials. Baby boomers say that marijuana is the devil. In the 60s, 1961, the Willis wagons, they were going ahead and building these cheap structures for black folks to, get educated in these cheap buildings. No, we're not going to integrate and bring them into our school buildings. We're going to build these. So what did Bernie Sanders did? He locked his arms with other black folks fighting segregation, fighting for integration. But Goldwater Hillary, what was she doing? Oh, yeah, she was fighting against integration. She didn't want the black folks to go to school with the white folks. She was a Goldwater girl. So she's just coasting on high on the top of everybody, laughing at all the Bernie Sanders of the world. Look at Bernie trying to do something different. She's a rich middle class, right? She's in school. She's in college. She's above all this integration bullshit. Goldwaterism is the exact opposite of being a progressive. A progressive who gets things done. No, she's a Goldwater girl. She's not a progressive. Not one yesterday, not one today, not one tomorrow. She'll never be.
Instead of arguing about definitions, let's talk about what we should do. And one of the things we should do is not only talk the talk, but walk the walk. I am very proud to be the only candidate up here who does not have a super PAC, who is not raising huge sums of money from Wall Street or special interest. I am enormously proud. Never believed it would happen. That we have raised $3.5 million individual contributions averaging $27 apiece. That is what the political revolution means.
Waterism is the opposite of being a progressive. For a long time, we had FDR, the New Deal coalition. That's how presidents got elected, by the New Deal coalition, right? With Truman, with Eisenhower. They were, decent Republicans. They were Republicans that were basically saying the Republicans of today, no, they wouldn't last in this country. Nixon was the last liberal president we had, because Goldwater conservatism basically allowed us to keep sliding to the right ever since. Goldwaterism smashed the New Deal coalition. So compared to Nixon, Goldwater's conservative, and Hillary was for Goldwater. That Goldwater girl, she's proud of being a Goldwater girl, too. I don't even think she's even said she was embarrassed about it. No, black kids should not be allowed to go to school with the white kids. Integration, are you crazy? No way. Hillary's all about white supremacy because she's a Goldwater girl. So what a wonderful progressive. And then on gay marriage, she's a homophobic bigot. Again, Hillary Clinton said, nope. Marriage is between a man and a woman. Fuck all you gays. She's a homophobic bigot. She hated gay people. No, you don't deserve the same rights as men and women who want to be together. You can't love each other. She was opposed to love. She's been in public life since the 90s. So for 25 years, Hillary Clinton was a homophobic bigot. For 25 years, she hated gay people, didn't think they were equal, didn't think they deserved the same rights. What a great progressive you all picked there. Had Hillary been president, gay folks would not have had their day in the sun. She probably would have banned transgendered out of the military as well. And then she couldn't even say she was for single-payer health care. Okay, so those are, a list of issues there that she's not a progressive. Now, there's something she said after the election that I thought was pretty interesting. She had said that she would have pushed the Universal Basic Income, UBI. Pushed UBI, and she said that, everybody would have been on her saying, how are you going to pay for this and all this other shit. So is she going to stick her neck out for the poor? She didn't do it in the campaign. If you don't even give me the indication that you're for UBI, that you're for UBI, Universal Basic Income gives everybody a check, everybody in the country. So instead of having social groups here and there and everywhere else, you would have just $15,000 goes to every single American. You're an American? Here's 15 grand. Now, if everybody had UBI, I can start giving it, stop giving a shit about the homeless and about the poor. So if you're homeless, well, what'd you do with your $15,000 check? $15,000 is a nice little gift for the wealthy, so, you know, buy yourself an extra boat. More importantly, it gets rid of poverty. It gets rid of poverty. Both MLK and Milton Friedman. Milton Friedman, the Chicago boys, one of the most right-wing economists out there, was in favor of UBI. So a right-wing economist is for just this massive...
My support in unifying and leading the nation. This has been a difficult year for the American people. I'm confident that if constructive leaders of both our parties join together now.
When the 1972 election had happened, you had George McGovern, who was awesome. He was amazing. He was a radical, but he was also very electable, very serious, and very... So for anybody to make it sound like he's just like this, you know, fringe candidate, he's not a fringe candidate. But ever since McGovern in 72, the Democratic Party added superdelegates so they would never get another progressive, radical progressive ever again. Never again. That's what they said. The Democrats in 1972, their never again was never again will we have a radical McGovern. So the McGovern basically forced Nixon's hand to get out of Vietnam. George McGovern ran for Nixon. He was already in there for 4 years, and his main issue was to get out of Vietnam. And then at the very end, Nixon said, all right, I'll pull out of Vietnam at the end of the campaign. So McGovern forced Nixon's hand. Nixon had to at least give lip service to get out of Vietnam, and I think that that eventually led to us getting out of Vietnam. Nixon wound up beating McGovern. Nixon essentially stayed on top. He didn't endorse any other candidates. He was very scared. He thought he was about to lose. And we would have had a bright, shining moment. We would have had a progressive country. Then the hippies would have won if McGovern was elected, but the hippies lost. And they've been losing decade after decade. They've been compromising. They've been keep on going to the right. Right? Well, what's the difference between Pence and Hitler? Or Donald, you know, President Shithole? What's the difference between Hitler and his second in command? Hitler was probably better than his second. Let's just keep on, lesser of the two evils. Let's just keep on compromising. Such a great tactic, Democrats. So Nixon had Paris peace talks, and then he promised to get out of Vietnam, and then eventually in 1975, we got out of Vietnam. So because of Nixon promising to get out, that was because of McGovern. George McGovern, because he said, let's get out of Vietnam, he's the main contender, we got out of Vietnam anyways. Hillary would have actually talked about UBI.
Senator Muskie and I wish to thank the people who supported our nomination and election. I've been in touch with the senator already this morning. Talked with both the senator and his family. I wish especially to thank my family, some of whom are here with me, and my campaign staff, and particularly to thank Mrs. Humphrey, who was the secret weapon.
Hillary Clinton would have actually ran on UBI, even if she didn't win, because such a high-profile candidate actually was sticking her neck out for the poor. Right? She don't give a shit about the poor. That's why I'm doubtful about this whole gun thing. You're ignoring black folks, and, you know, apparently all y'all think that, you know, the cops are totally for you and they'll never mess up, and if you have a badge and a gun and you have power, then that somehow precludes you from ever being a bad person. Yeah, right, that Tennessee sheriff loves murdering white men. He loves it. He gets off to it. And none of the white people are going to do shit about it, because white people are individualistic and they don't give a goddamn about any other... There is no white monolith. Anyways, so if she would have stuck her neck out, she didn't do it in the campaign, then she would have done it as president. But afterwards, oh yeah, like Lincoln, right? She was lying and then she was going to... Bullshit. Bullshit. If she would have actually pushed for UBI, I would have voted for her. But she couldn't do it during the campaign because she's not a progressive. And she...
Do it. I don't think that we have anywhere near the amount of evidence that we need as to its impact, that is marijuana's impact upon the emotional or physical health of our people. I don't believe that you can treat it like alcohol, and if you could, I don't think that's a very good argument, because the problem of alcoholism in this country is tremendous. I don't think we ought to compound it.
What about the reduction of penalties, though, on marijuana?
I'm for that. Not only for it, my state legislature in Minnesota has already taken that action. Some of us that were very active in the politics of our state have removed what we call the felony penalties and taken the penalty level down to misdemeanor and actually left it in the judge's hand for a good deal of judicial discretion.
The President's Commission on Marijuana that recently gave its conclusions to the country stated that they feel that, in fact, the decriminalization process should be taking place with marijuana.
Yes.
In regard to marijuana. There's been a lot of people, a lot of very respected people who have been coming out for either the legalization or the decriminalization. Yes. If in the near future, if it was ever proven to your satisfaction that marijuana is no more harmful than any of the other legalized things that we are they're allowed to take as adults in this country, would you then advocate the decriminalization of marijuana?
Well, I advocate the decriminalization right now.
All decriminalization?
Decriminalization as to its use, not as to its sale, but as to its use. I think there's a great deal of difference. On the part of the young man, for example, that may use it, or the young woman, I don't think you ought to slam them in the federal penitentiary or a state penitentiary. That's what we call a misdemeanor, and has changed from a felony to a misdemeanor. Most states are moving that way now. I'm an open